The story centers on the life of a high school student named Yuji Ikadori, who accidentally joined a group of jujutsu sorcerers whose purpose is to capture and destroy evil, powerful beings called curses. It begins in a room of talisman when a young high school student wakes up in a chair next to a blindfolded man. The man introduces himself as Gojo Satoru and tells the boy that he's the teacher to the first-year students of Jujutsu Tech. He then asks him which one he is at the moment, and the boy named Yuji Ikadori recalls someone named Fushiguro and immediately expresses concern for his friends. However, when he tries to get up, he realizes that he's tied to the floor. On the other hand, Gojo just tells him that he shouldn't bother himself worrying about his friends, because his secret execution has already been ordered, so he would be dead very soon. The previous day, Yuji called the Sugisawa hospital where his grandfather was, but when the nurse went to check on the old man, he insisted that Yuji go to his club. After receiving the message, Yuji understands and promises to stop by the hospital the next day. Later that night, a student of Jujutsu Tech named Megami Fusugiro went to the grounds of Sugisawa High School in search of cursed objects. When he doesn't find it, he contacts Gojo Satoru to inform him, but the teacher instructs him to keep looking till he finds it. The next day at school, Yuji plays a game in his occult club with his friends named Inuch and Sasaki. They're interrupted by the student president who barges in with a notice reminding them that clubs with no actual research activities are to forfeit the club room. However, the girl in the group, Sasaki, attempts to use their investigation of vengeful spirits on the school rugby field to prove that they're a real club with important research activities. The president quickly bursts this bubble when he informs them that the sound the rugby players heard on the fields were just ticks, meaning bugs, and not a spirit. Yuji tries to counter him by insisting that they uncovered other occultic activities on school grounds, but that's when the student president reminds him that he's already registered on the track and field club. As such, his membership in the occult club is deemed invalid, which would leave only 2 members and also make the club invalid as well for not meeting the minimum 3-member requirement. Yuji denies registering at the track and club field, but suddenly, Takagi, the track and field coach, enters the room, declaring that he was the one who wrote Yuji's name in his club. It turns out that Yuji is an amazing track and field athlete, who is the school's best shot at conquering nationals. So because of that, the coach desperately wants him on his club, despite the constant refusal. To settle things once and for all, Takagi promises to let Yuji be if he can beat him in a track and field event, so he confidently accepts the deal. Meanwhile, on the rugby field, Megami, who is still searching for the cursed object, realizes something off about the field. He senses a special grade curse nearby, but finds it difficult to pin it down to an exact location. On the school field in the West Middle, the contest begins. Takagi and Yuji begin, and all the students around are cheering Yuji on. Sasaki doesn't seem aware of Yuji's athletic prowess, so Ignich enlightens her on his exploits and reveals that they wanted him the nickname Tiger of West Middle. After Takagi sets a national record of over 14 meters in shot put, Yuji takes the metal ball and casually sets a world record of 30 meters. After absolutely annihilating Takagi, Yuji goes over to his friends who are watching. Witnessing the incredible display, Sasaki tells him he doesn't have to force himself to stay in the occult club, but he informs her that he wanted to be in, admitting the club is growing on him, especially because of the scary investigations. Meanwhile, the whole time Megami observes Yuji, wondering how he pulled off such a superhuman feat without cursed magic. That's not the case, because Yuji runs past Megami on his way to the hospital. He senses the cursed energy that's linked to the cursed object emanating from Yuji's body. However, before Megami can confront Yuji, he dashes off at an insane speed since he's already late to visit his grandfather. Before going to the hospital, he gets some flowers, and when he gets there, he sets them down. The old man complains about how he told him to stop buying flowers, but Yuji tells him that he got it for the nurses and not for him. The argument continues as his grandfather scolds him for leaving the clubs to come see him at the hospital. Yuji tells the old man to relax, explaining that the clubs ended before 5 o'clock, and so he had time to visit him. After realizing that Yuji only used his free time, his grandfather tells him to listen to something he wants to tell him. Yuji tells him he's not interested, but the old man insists that he listens because this might be his final words. He starts talking about Yuji's parents, but the teenager reiterates that he's not interested, teasing the old man for trying to act cool before he passes away. Placing the flowers in a jar of water, Yuji tells his grandfather to just be himself. The old man tells Yuji that he should use his strength to help people whenever he has the chance. He tells him to not expect gratitude in return all the time, but urges him to always help so that when it's his time to go, he'd be surrounded by people he loved and not alone like himself. After hearing those words, Yuji's grandfather doesn't say anything else, so Yuji calls out to him, but no response. Yuji calls the nurses on the phone, and deep down, he already knows that his grandfather has passed away. The nurses arrive and take the old man away as Yuji looks on dazed. Afterward, he packed up all his grandfather's stuff in the room and does all the necessary paperwork. The nurse asks him how he's holding up, and he tells her that it's his first time experiencing such a thing, so the reality of it probably hasn't hit him yet. Moreover, his grandfather would be mad if he kept moping around, so he decides to laugh about the funny memories he has of the old man. Suddenly, Megami appears, calling Yuji. He introduces himself and asks to have a word with him. Yuji tells him that he's grieving at the moment, but Megami insists that there's no time and asks him to hand over the cursed object that he has on him because it's extremely dangerous. However, Yuji doesn't seem to have a clue of what he's talking about. Megami shows him a picture of the object on his phone. Yuji recognizes the object and admits that he wouldn't mind giving it back, but explains that his friends were intrigued by it. Megami decides to make him understand just how dangerous the cursed objects are by showing him thousands of mysterious deaths and cases of missing persons caused by them. He explains that curses feed on negative human emotions, which can be found in crowded places, and so as a result, the cursed objects are kept in a place such as a protective talisman to prevent them. Turns out that Yuji just happened to find one of the rare cursed objects, a special grade one. After realizing how dangerous the object is, Yuji decides to hand it over to Megami, but discovers that his friend took it out of the box. Even worse, they're planning to unseal it at the school later that night, so when Yuji tells Megami, he informs him that his friends are going to die. Meanwhile at school, Sasaki and Ichiki unwrap the object and find a human finger inside. Immediately, the object starts to attract dangerous curses and attacks them. Elsewhere, Yuji and Megami are sprinting to the school. Yuji asks him if the seals on the objects are difficult to remove and tells him that they normally are for people who lack cursed energy, but that since the object is an ancient and powerful one, the seal might just be a paper. After passing through a shortcut, the two arrive at the school just in time for Megami to summon his divine dogs to rescue Yuji's friends. Yuji remembers what his grandfather told him about helping people, so he focuses on the thought and manages to save Sasaki from one of the curses. Megami commends Yuji for his heroic act, but the guy is more concerned with the dogs that are eating the curses, so he asks him if he's afraid. Yuji admits that he's a bit scared because he's never seen such a supernatural spectacle, and also the fact that his friends could have died is quite scary because he wants the people he cares about to have proper deaths. Carrying an unconscious Sasaki in his arms, the finger falls from her body and he catches it. Megami reveals that this is the special grade cursed object he was looking for, and tells him it's a finger of Ryomen Sukuna, the king of curses, added that if one eats it, the person would gain incredible cursed energy. Just when he asks Yuji to hand it over, they're attacked by another curse. Megami pushes the others to safety to take the curses on alone. However, he gets seriously beaten around and unable to think straight. Yuji joins in the fight, attempting to save him from the colossal curse. Megami shouts to him, run away and save himself, as he can't win because only curses can exorcise other curses. Yuji insists that he can't just run away because he would have nightmares of the curse. He suddenly remembers what his grandfather told him about helping people whenever he can, and just as he's about to be eaten by the curse, he swallows Sukuna's finger, determined to save everyone. Megami watches in shock because consuming a special grade curse is like taking poison. But somehow, Yuji survives and instead gains incredible cursed powers. As tattoos suddenly appear on his body, Yuji uses his new powers to obliterate the gigantic curse with a single punch. Suddenly, 2 more eyes appear on his face, and he begins laughing maniacally, but Megami is horrified. It appears that Yuji's 1 in a million chance of survival is the worst case scenario because the special grade curse has incarnated. That will bring us to the end of today's recap on Jujutsu Kaisen. Thanks for watching and check out the next video here. See you next time.